meetup of the Louisville Atheists and Freethinkers. All right, we'll get going here in just a second. And I got started 10 minutes early because I wanted to make sure Edwin Kagin got started on time. Our guest speaker, who I'll introduce here in a moment, so that we can get plenty of time for him. Many of you might be partying late hours tonight, but some of you might be getting up early to prepare for Skeptic Camp, Kentucky, the first ever Skeptic Camp that is tomorrow at the Louisville Free Public Library at 600 York Street, I believe, the one downtown. It is sponsored by the Louisville area skeptics, the Lexington Skeptics, and a skeptic organization from some other place in Kentucky. I forgot. Ashland. Okay, so 3 different organizations. And skepticism is wanting evidence for what you believe. If you say that Bigfoot, if someone says Bigfoot exists, they want evidence that Bigfoot exists. Well, if you apply skepticism towards religion, you become an atheist or an agnostic. So we're all in favor of skepticism. All right, make sure that we're going to speak for about an hour here. Make sure you don't run off without paying your bill. It's easy to forget sometimes. You speak your ends, you're ready to go home, and you accidentally forget to pay. And then we have to pick up that tab. So make sure you pay your bills. Make sure you tip your waiters. Our waiter came all the way from Ireland to service. He is a true Irishman in an Irish pub. And put a good tip on there because they're working very hard. Okay. Also we have as a guest Blair Scott, the communication director. Blair, why don't you wave? Communication director for American Atheists, who came here because he's from Alabama. And he wanted to see the only state in the Union with less church-state separation than Alabama. So he came to Kentucky. No, we got a creation museum, and now we have 40 million tax dollars in incentives going to a Noah's Ark theme park. They don't have one of those in Alabama, so that's why Blair came over here. Actually, he came over here for Skeptic Camp, and he found out his colleague, Edwin Kagin, was speaking here tonight. So he came here tonight, and we're glad that he's here as well. Okay, I'll get going on some future meetups. Next month, we're going to have Linda Allwalt, who removed the 10 Commandments from 2 locations in Shelby County. She did so without any lawyers. Sorry, Edwin. But she did so without the need for any lawyers. And so you could say she removed 20 commandments. And we have some Shelby County guests. Brink and Susan there are from... and he was talking about how he had seen those signs just 3 months ago and what she did to remove them. So that'll be the June meetup, which will also be here. We have a picnic at Hogan's Fountain, August 14th. That's at Cherokee Park in August. Then coming up after that, let me see what we have. September, Dr. Sam Sloss of Indiana University Southeast in New Albany will talk about his interview. He's a sociology professor who got permission to interview in detail 2 scientists from the Creation Museum. I use the word scientist and museum there, not in their literal sense, but in their title sense, I guess. One of them is a microbiologist who wants to study how the fall of man caused bacteria to turn evil. Something like that. When I spoke with him, it was very interesting. He interviewed these people, and he will talk about his interviews with them and what their research is on now. Then, in October, we have Tom Flynn, the director of the Council for Secular Humanism, who will come here and deliver something called The Problem with Christmas. And if you were at the American Atheist Convention, which was on Easter, you saw his presentation, The Problem with Easter. It was hysterical. I'm sure this one will be just as hysterical as well. The November meetup is not titled yet. It is going to be reserved for politicians, local politicians. And I'm possibly not going to list the names or anything like that until at least after the election that occurs earlier there in November. But we're going to try to get some politicians in here after that session. And then in December, we will have our holiday party. There are other events and meetups. The Women's Atheists have a monthly movie and a monthly get-together at the Zen Tea House. The secular parents are getting more and more organized. They're going to be at the picnic with us on August 14th. And there are other meetups that you can look about. I'm going to see if we can get them to turn off the sound of these speakers.
I'm going to do that.
Okay, yeah, this happened actually last time. They'll get that turned. Look, as soon as that happens, we'll introduce I'll go ahead and introduce our next speaker, and hopefully it will have that extra noise down. Edwin Kagin is the National Legal Director for American Atheists. He is a graduate of the University of Louisville and practiced law here and now resides in Union, Kentucky. He is the founder or co-founder with his late wife, Helen Kagin, of Camp Quest. And he founded the first Camp Quest. There are now 10 Camp Quests throughout the United States, even in Texas, if you consider that part of the United States. Secede! They want to secede. I was born in Dallas. There's also 2 in London, or in England. I don't think they're in London, but 2 in England. So there are multiple Camp Quests throughout the world now, and he was one of the founders of that. And he was also previously the Kentucky State Director for American Atheists. He's no longer that, focusing his attention on his legal duties. And one thing I can say, his legal duties, we cannot litigate as fast as they are legislating. They are making laws, theocratical Christian laws all over the place. I am going to share one thing with you. And I missed that laser mouse that I forgot. Okay, this is, don't worry if you can't read it, you'll be able to read the page of importance. This is a letter from the Internal Revenue Service. The Kentucky Secular Society applied for 501c3 status, and this is your basic letter saying we want more information, which is what we expected. It's actually not so bad. They specify the type of information they want. On this page, they have 6 items listed. They want me to swear that I'm telling the truth. They want 2 years of budgets and things like that. They want us to project our budget through 2012. This is the one, number 4, that really caught my attention when I had Blair Scott read it. I recognized the exact moment of his double take. Number 4, describe your Darwin Day presentation and other presentations. Include in your description the following information. Indicate whether the organization's position or viewpoint is supported by fact. And then they indicate whether the approach used in the presentation is aimed at developing an understanding on the part of the intended audience or readership. I expected if there was anything that they were going to ask about, I expected that it was going to be Meet Our Legislators Day. What were you doing? Do you support a specific legislator? You know, were you doing agenda or were you doing politicking? They didn't ask about Meet Our Legislators. They asked about Darwin Day. And